he can branch out and be more of that carry-oriented that Unlimited Potential would need him to be. So it's kind of a big question mark over him, and he'll get the chance to prove it against a former world champion in Looper.
Yeah, we'll have to see now as we do get into the draft for game number 1. M3 over on the blue side, UP hanging out on the red. Gragas actually the first ban there for M3, so we talked about the jungle pool maybe getting shredded, starting to see a bit of that already.
And that's a big overlap between Condi and Amy. They're going to prioritize Gragas, Rek'Sai, and possibly Lee Sin. I'm actually pretty confident that we may see that come out. I really want to see the Warriors jungles and moving away from the Cinderhole because it has not treated their aggressive jungle style very well.
I agree. I think in this matchup in particular, double warrior might be something we could see as Janna actually eats a ban there. So Love City going to get that taken away from him. Sort of a curious ban, but every now and then we see support bans in China.
It could really just be showing the hand that Unlimited Potential want to go for a hard engage style composition. Obviously, Janna with the Monsoon has a massive reset. And since Gragas was taken off the board, that means the two primary champions with the biggest resets in the game, the Cask and the Monsoon, are off the board.
Yeah, and then another good support taken away is Alistar actually eats a ban, and he's been seeing a lot of love, whether it's in the bans or in very early in the picks. Alistar's been very popular in the first early weeks.
Which pretty much tells us that if Nautilus is left open, that he'll be the first rotation support, as that's kind of the holy trinity of the supports there.
Yeah, oh, they're so strong. I mean, Thresh as well is probably the other one.
Thresh, Nautilus, and Alistar.
Yep, those are the three. So we got one ban already. We'll see if UP want to answer, but it's Hecarim that they take away from Lupo.
No surprise. It's weird that they would go for the Janna and then the Hecarim. Hecarim's been pretty much consistently banned throughout the LPL. Picked or banned, he has a very high play rate as well. Again, it's the fact that Hecarim, when he's on the board, he can start a team fight at pretty much anywhere, anytime with the Onslaught of Shadows. They love using the teleport, especially for setting up on dragons, getting those deep wards behind TPs and having the home guard come in. So pretty standard stuff.
Some faith in Looper there as well. Again, his teleports in general play has not been up to standard for Looper.
I hear he's known for TPing.
He was. I mean, he's certainly, when he does do it, he looks like, again, his old self as Fizz finally gets a ban here. This is where things get exciting in the LPL.
So obviously it was Zatai that kind of broke out the top lane Fizz. It's now kind of become between two builds. You have Flandre's Trinity Force Fizz, and then you have Zatai's Cinderhulk Fizz, and it's been all the rage.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Strong champion, lanes against most of the common top laners quite well. As Kalista against SMLZ going to be the final ban. So M3, plenty left open, but everyone's favorite might be our first.
Yeah, yep, not going to be surprised. There it goes. Rek'Sai being picked up, and obviously we talked about how Condi and Amy have a lot of overlapping jungle pool champions, especially looking for that aggressive style. Gragas and Rek'Sai were going to be the two priorities there. It's now going to be, is Amy going to go for the Sejuani, or is he going to go for a warrior style jungler?
I actually have been impressed by aggressive junglers on Sejuani because they get really creative with their pathing, with their ultimates, with their early ganks. As long as already locked in Rumble, by the way, so wants to keep that away from Looper. We saw his decent Rumble game yesterday, I believe, so that is a very bold blind pick, but sort of a blocker pick to Maokai as well.
I mean, pretty much with Hecarim off the board, then it's Maokai. Rumble does a great matchup against Maokai, and likewise, again, because we're in China, because Unlimited Potential are very much a team-fighting team, Rumble's going to offer so much power there with the equalizer on those dragon fights.
Yeah, Seva locked in there as well, so we kind of moved between a couple of champions. Could have maybe picked up the Sedge, but can leave it for later, of course, with Rek'Sai already picked up. So not that much synergy Rumble Seva, but still going to be just fine.
It's like long-range initiation, and then you just pop the Seva ult to make your team catch up to the equalizer if you want to play it down that way in mid lane. Really happy to see Sivir picked up so early in rotations. This is something viewers possibly new to LPL. Sivir is a big priority champion, 81% picked rate.
Yeah.
So,
pretty high win rate too.
Yeah, and you'll see her very early in rotations or possibly even banned.
Yeah, and we've started finally seeing Sivir bans this week, but goes over early to UP. Thresh is locked in for Love City. Nautilus still open, by the way, so an option there for Heart if he wants it. And Na's going to be the pickup once again for Looper. I mean, he can't take Maokai, so he's going to take Na.
Yeah, and Nara's going to do fine against Rumble. Again, it's a resourceless champion because the fact that Maokai has the... not only does the Maokai Rumble matchup, it's not the funnest thing, but also Maokai has to deal with his mana, whereas Nara is just dealing with his Fury Bar versus the overheat of Rumble, so miss a resource there. Curious that Love CD decided to go for Thresh versus Nautilus. He has looked more comfortable in the past on Thresh, but Nautilus is just so dominant in that 2v2.
Yeah, I think it's excellent with Sivir as well. That's sort of the other reason I'm not too sure about the pick, but he'll take comfort at least for this time around as UP going to round out their draft. We already have the Nautilus locked in, not too surprising there for Heart, and Amy is going to go for Sejuani.
And now it's going to be curious how Amy's going to perform on this. So the thing about Amy is he's actually qualified 2 teams up into the LPL, but unfortunately whenever it gets his chance to finally play on that stage, he's moved back into the LSPL. So a bit of a veteran player for LSPL, he's been all around the scene for quite a bit. Finally gets his chance to play on the LPL stage. He's a very aggressive jungler, very high in mechanics, and so when we shifted over into the Cinderhulk meta, it just didn't really favor Amy's play style. curious if he's going to be able to make it connect on Sejuani.
Oh, we'll have to see as we do round out M3's draft there as well. Lucian actually the pick there for SMLZ, and Dade's going to go back to Cassiopeia.
Now Dade sitting 2-1 on Cassiopeia. He was previously undefeated, but unfortunately Cool took that away from him yesterday on the Azir pickup. So the thing about Dade is he's always had a very relative small champion pool, but he was excellent on the champions that he had. He's now suddenly branching out into more meta picks like Cassiopeia, and looking fantastic on them.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dade's Cassiopeia. It's just very flexible, lots of different things you can do. Very powerful, of course, as well. Be curious to see if UP want to just opt into the Azir matchup, but not looking at it right now. Hart, he's gone through a lot of different champions, and this is a counter pick we're starting to see a little bit more. Varus is the last pick for UP.
So the idea about Varus, and we saw a little bit of the Lux hover, I kind of like to call it a pseudo Nidalee or a pseudo Lux. Effectively, you have a long range poke that goes through minions, and so it's all about the Q-max and about prioritizing and itemizing CDR and armor penetration, because it's just about impairing that piercing arrow.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, though, is that unlike the Azir matchup, which is the other popular matchup we see Varus picked into, Cassiopeia ever hits you with a poison, you're probably dead. Completely dead.
I didn't get a chance to see his summoner. Did he pick up the cleanse or did he go for the exhaust?
No, Punish does have cleanse. So very smartly being like, you know what, I really don't want to get too wrecked in this matchup. And we'll go through the rest of them once again here. Looper versus Long on the top side to kick things off. Nav taking on Rumble.
The expectation there, we saw Looper had a fantastic game on the Rumble. We know that we have a hard engage comp coming from Unlimited Potential.
And we can see, again, more hard engage coming from the jungle. Rek'Sai versus Sejuani. Starting to see this matchup quite a bit along with the Gragas Rek'Sai as well.
This definitely favors Rek'Sai just because she's so powerful in the early jungle, able to invade Sejuani.
Yep, Dade back again. This is certainly the matchup that I'll be looking for here in this one. Cassio versus Varus and Punish. With the counter pick against Dade looking good potentially as we'll go back to standard things now on the bottom side as SMLZ's Lucian versus Skatch's Sivir.
And then finishing up, of course, with Love CD versus Heart on the Thresh and Nautilus matchup.
And again, lots of hard engaged champions. People like to favor the hooks. We saw a Janna ban, but haven't seen that much of a Nami as well. Even Morgana's actually been pretty absent, to be perfectly honest, with all this hard engage running around. But it is China. They love to fight. They love to kill each other. We're going to get a lot of that in this game. I hope so. We are, I believe. Bloodthirsty. Bloodthirstiness everywhere. That's all I want.
Speaking a little bit about Nami, we actually haven't seen a ton of her. She's not really well known for the LPL. She started to appear early last year at the playoffs when World Elite picked up their Korean coach Hero. And I think it was Conan who brought the first Nami over into LPL. But she's never been kind of a big priority pick for them. They had a small period where it was Morgana, Nami, they were all the craze. But it's always been about this hard engage. And we talked about how Sivir has a very early prioritization in the LPL. Likewise, so does Thresh.
Yeah, I mean, Chinese supports have been playing Thresh for
Ever.
yeah, for a long time. And you know what? Let's see what Chinese Thresh does today as we're about to get into game number 1. And welcome onto the riff for game number 1 between M3 and Unlimited Potential. Dade is back on his now famous and new Cassiopeia and Punish with the counterpick Varus. It is cleanse versus barrier in that mid lane. If Punish can navigate this against a very strong looking Dade on this champion, I'll be quite impressed.
The problem is that Dade just really hasn't been making it out of lane phase successfully to, again, be that big impact champion that Cassiopeia can be in the late game once she's stacked on her items and stacked on her passive. So be sure to watch Dade, see if he gets an easy lane phase. It's not quite so easy against Punish.
No, Varus especially is, again, starting to come up as more of a counter pick, so we'll see how that develops as UP have already committed, by the looks of things, to a pretty deep lane swap. We've got the duel in the top side. Rumble's already joined Amy there in the jungle, and SMLZ love CD. You can tell with the lane they probably want the 2v2, but UP gonna dodge it.
Yep, and this is what we've seen really very common with Sivir matchups, is they just rotate her up into the top lane just because her wave siege is so good. Likewise, it opens up that if Hart wants to roam around with that Nautilus, obviously he has strong CC. Sivir just gets free XP to level 6. They can then transition that to a very easy dragon fight with the on hunt.
And this is kind of the funny thing for me about Sivir in lane swaps, especially as Punished eats a bunch of early poison to lose a few early level 1 trades. Sivir just sort of says, you know what? If you want a lane swap, I'm definitely not freezing, because she almost always fast pushes. Sketch is actually betraying me here.
It's okay. On the bottom side, SMLZ's pushed very far forward. And we didn't talk about SMLZ. We'll kind of touch on him. Lucian's a big power pick for him. Again, I can't say this enough. This guy was handpicked by Wei Xiao to be his protege. He had a lot of hype going on him for a long time, and unfortunately, it just never connected. He never really got there. So he gets his second chance on Master3.
And you know what, he actually has looked fairly good. It's funny that M3 have had, I would say, a revolving door of 80 carries this year, and they've all actually been surprisingly consistent. So it's just a matter of if their bot lane's nice and consistent and can still carry, how consistently are Dade Lupa playing, and where's Condi's pressure going there as well? Again, M3, it's a big theme for them all year long, even moving from spring into summer. When they look good, they look great, but when they look bad, they just look like M3. As you do see an invade actually, Hart trying to get the blue buff taken away, but just going to be annoying more than anything else. Does get a couple passive hits down. Can't steal it though as Condi does smite it away. Gets flayed out there as well. Scatch will rotate in for a bit of damage, and Amy, a little too late to try and steal level 2, but no one left for him to try and kill.
I love the power of Nautilus. The fact that Hart was so confident. He literally ran in between them like mosh pit in the middle of 3 people and just dropped his E to be a nuisance, try to pick up some EXP on maybe one of the Sentinels for the blue buff.
Yeah, and that's one of the other nice things about Nautilus, is just so strong in the early levels. You effectively get 2 CCs, Riptide for the slow, and your passive there for an extra snare. So we've seen it time and time again. I think Makeover's doing it recently as well. Just get in the jungler's face in a lane swap.
That said, they are continuing with their vertical jungling. Obviously, Master3 have complete control over the bottom side. It's going to be curious how early they're going to rotate into a possible dragon. They do have great damage because their jungler is Rek'Sai. She's very healthy on first clear.
Yeah, very healthy indeed, and actually might even be looking for it now as SMLZ actually finds himself in a 1v1 against Long of all matchups. So a bit of a weird one as Loop can't figure out quite. I was actually jungling still with Condi. I did find him. Well done, Mini, now hiding over with the Grom. Again, they're going to keep taking some jungle. Level 3 might be time to pull the trigger on the dragon as Long's going to have to back a little bit further away now that Love City's rejoined the lane.
Here comes the gank path, though. There's a fantastic path with the tunnel.
Very nice there, Love City. Flash play in there. Condi looking for a flash on Borrow goes in. Long's going to take damage, and first blood goes to SMLZ.
You always have to be so conscious of that gank path when facing against a Rek'Sai, coming from behind the tower, getting the tunnel over there. It was a nice flash knockup.
And you can see Dade actually starting to struggle in their matchup. The early levels are fine for Cassio, but Punish, now level 4, approaching level 5. 2 points in the arrow already, and Dade's forced out of lane.
And this is really the strength of Varus mid. Just look at the range on that arrow. He can effectively stand at his tower, you know, clear 5 lanes worth of distance, a whole, I wanted to say football field, but then I realized they might mean different things between you and me.
Yes, they probably would. But, you know, I'll take the meaning here as Punish going to keep pushing his waves in and just try and annoy Dade. Dade does go back and get his tier, though, so going to start stacking that up as well. But Punish, if you can continue on this path right now on the Varus, will really keep this Cassiopeia in the lane.
And this is really what Varus just wants to do. He wants to sit back, itemize his CDR as well as his armor penetration, and he's just going to pop his Qs, stand to safety. The nice thing about taking Varus into that mid lane is that it is the shortest lane, so obviously the fact that he doesn't have any built-in gap closers or escapes doesn't punish him as hard, especially while he still has that flash. And again, I want to touch on the cleanse. Taking cleanse against Cassiopeia is absolutely necessary, and a lot of people would think that it's because of the petrifying gaze, and no, it's not for the petrifying gaze, it's for the poison. So obviously if you cleanse the poison, she doesn't get the reset on her Twin Fangs, which pretty much denies the difference in damage between a, 1.5 second cooldown on Twin Fangs versus a 7-second cooldown on Twin Fangs.
Yeah, it's a big DPS drop for Cassio. We talk about how standing DPS and how strong it can be, but not like good when, again, that poison isn't there as Dade continuing to pressure in actually onto Punish, trying to keep the wave a little pushed up, but Varus will be Varus. He'll just sit here at 575 range and keep wave clearing.
And the question is one of these teams really going to strike, and where are their win conditions? So Amy, obviously on that Sejuani, the obvious point is, oh, Sejuani's level 6, the Glacial Prism. The thing about Amy that's a little bit curious, especially as he sets up for a gank in this top lane, is that he is the lowest kill participation.
Ooh, Dade forced to flash that ulti actually. I don't know if it was hitting for Punish, but enough pressure there onto Cassio to force him away. Top lane gank, there will go Orion as Amy backs off there. Lupa playing safe for the first time in the last few weeks here. Not going to get himself killed just yet.
And again, just touching quickly back to Amy, the fact that he has lowest kill participation on probably the most impactful jungler of Sejuani.
Long in trouble once again. Love City trying to line up a hook but doesn't have it, but you can see SMLZ hasn't even actually gone back yet, starting to bully kind of the stitched together 2v2 lane of UP here of Rumble Nautilus, which probably going to get pressured in by 2 range champions.
It's really just the punishment, yeah, of having the range versus the 2 melees. It's a little bit more difficult since the changes so many patches ago on Rumble to last hit under tower, but doing a decent job, 14 CS to 18.
Yeah, going to get a bit of help there from Hart as well, so not too bad as Dade also hit level 6 now as well, so feels a bit of added protection and kill pressure there with his ultimate, but Varus going to get his first blue buff here as Amy donates this one over. He's already got his tier as well, stacking in towards that Manamune, and Punish already missed an ulti, but it was forced to flash as SMLZ going to take the Lantern to safety as Hart tries to get aggressive. Scatch actually even popped his ultimate, but doesn't find the kill.
Scatch was trying to be a little bit cute right there because they saw that it was Rumble. They lost track of Sever, trying to to come in through the back of the lane and get a good engagement with the On the Hunt, obviously because he was sitting up there getting the solo EXP, but fortunately doesn't quite connect.
Yeah, and SMLZ now level 6, so if they can find a good hook, good culling damage might come through. Heart especially quite vulnerable at this stage of the lane at only level 4, but looks like Lucha wants to go back. Sketch has actually returned first with a BF sword, so a nice early power spike in this lane. Love City actually, yeah, going to find Sketch in there, but shield comes through. Love City hits a boomerang blade. That was very ballsy by Thresh.
Yeah, I don't know why Love City stood that far forward. That could have ended in disaster, but, you know, get some decent damage. Also had Condi in the wings.
I think was hoping to bait them in there and maybe bait them into a tower dive so Condi could swoop in, but Lucian going to go back. BF sword, Avarice Blade now for SMLZ, so we talked about power spikes and lane. We'll shift back to Lucian now, and that Avarice Blade, very good investment for what's now a standard 2v2 lane.
And then now it kind of gives away his itemization, the fact that he will look towards... Actually, no, he could still go for the Ghost Blade.
He could.
Mid-game power spike versus the static Shiv for more of a late-game oriented build.
And look, we're seeing so many Avarice Blades on Chinese AD carries. It's just like, I don't know, I want to have my gold thing. I don't know what it is exactly, but everyone is building Avarice Blade relatively early into their build, even before they finish their first major item, usually Infinity Edge in a lot of cases. So it might just be an LPL thing, not too sure, but certainly Lucian especially does get a bit of flexibility with the item.
This is going to sound very bizarre, especially when we think about China as the big 5v5 team fight region, but lane phase is very important for a lot of these AD carries just because they are, for a long time, kind of considered the center point and the kings of their teams if you think about Uzi and things like that. So getting an Avarice Blade and prolonging your lane phase, stacking up your gold and finding your major items is definitely kind of a flavor thing for them.
Yeah, it might be a throwback for them, but we are probably going to mean that Lucian will sit and farm as best he can here, but can at least keep the waves relatively pruned back against the Sivir. Dade, the target of a next gank though for Amy, and he does not have a cleansing. Condi actually spotted Amy himself. This will be a funny 2v2 punish though. Nails the ulti onto Dade. Petrifying Gaze comes through as Condi gets the knock up. Dade though going to get ulted up by Amy. Punish going to come through as the barrier, keeping him alive, and Condi keeps chasing through. Amy going to get flash auto to die. Punish could be the next target as well, but they don't quite have enough to kill him.
So two things. Oh, hold on.
Yes, Catch in trouble. SMLZ diving forward, but he gets boomerang bladed. One more auto. Heart takes the kill, and Love CD tries the all in, but it doesn't quite get there.
And this is another thing that we'll see very common in LPL. Once they see where the jungler is, where the enemy resources, they just immediately go in. So it's not going to be like one action happens isolated in the mid lane. Everything will explode all at once, all over the map. I want to talk about quickly the Petrifying Gaze, because that was what really saved and turned that fight around. Obviously, likewise, Condi's flash afterwards, but a good cleanse from Punish almost saved his life. We talked... Ooh.
Bad news bears. Love City, he gets ulted by Nautilus, and that's clean up for Heart once again.
You can never even get your full analysis out because the Chinese teams love to fight.
Condi
Speaking
coming
of which,
back in. Sketch, good spell shield, actually misses the Unborrow there for Condi, but not going to quite have enough damage. Didn't even finish the dragon that he'd started, so M3 starting to fall a bit behind, but do actually have 1,000 gold ahead just from farm.
the bloodthirst. He wanted it.
He did really want to. I mean, it is the LPL. That doesn't surprise me in the least. Looper in the top side though. Mega now actually has a Hex Drinker here, so going to try and navigate the early stages of his lane, but probably going to see him move into more tank items as long. Ruby Crystal there, presumably for an early haunting, guys.
The thing that I'm curious where Looper's going to go as far as his itemization, because he already has his MR set up for the Hex Drinker there. If he's going to go armor, despite the fact that he's facing across against Rumble, simply because he'll be ready with both stats for the big team fight or the dragon fight that surely will be coming. Average dragon time for LPL is around 11 minutes. So we're just at that window now.
I mean, it's funny that even with the lane swap, M3 couldn't actually get the first dragon, so we are going to have a first dragon at around the standard time, maybe a little bit later than normal. But again, Condi started it, couldn't get it done. UP actually rotated their bottom lane back very early to make sure that they couldn't attempt the dragon here, and Condi's in the top side, so that might pull the trigger on the dragon here for unlimited potential.
And again, it was really Sketch trying to get cheeky with his on the hunt and find a pick into that bottom lane when he walked into the bottom of it.
It makes sense. Had a good power spike. BF Sword was ready, but SMLZ and Love CD going to leave the lane, I think, suspecting maybe that they don't have enough vision around the dragon, as Amy gotten quite aggressive. Going to find Love City really zipping in with a Moby Boots. Flayed back there as well. Going to try and no, doesn't even throw the hook out. Just says, okay, you get to leave, Amy.
That was actually really scary from Love CD. Amy had the Glacial Prism back and available. Dade wasn't in the mid lane. If Amy had decided to turn and just burn the ultimate, Varus was there and waiting. Yeah,
so UP again going to take the Scotter Crab and start this dragon. Double 80 carries effectively here between Sketch and Punish. Just Heart will rotate in as well to help tank. Dade is in the area. He's got some decent itemization coming through, but puts the ward down. We're going to fight for this dragon.
Glacial Prism's going to be obviously the big ultimate.
Oh, Spell Shield there coming through for Sketch. Ultimate though popped in for Siva. M3 going to force them off the Dragon and take it away. Varus ulti nails Looper, but Punish there. Going to get cold as Dade takes the kill out, and Glacial Prison far too late there for Amy as M3 get a kill and the Dragon.
No, you're absolutely right. The fact that Glacial Prism did land on 4 people, but about 15 seconds too late. Amy didn't even try to go for the Smite steal. Not quite sure what was happening for Unlimited Potential. Looked like they were all on different wavelengths as far as communication.
I mean, yeah, that's across the map as well. You can see Long there pushing in the top side. Now actually recalling as Dade's found a friend. Takes out Amy as Condi roams through the jungle. And Long going to look a little silly. Goes back, gets an item, but his teleport's just come back up.
And Master3 just understanding that they had punished them and they didn't have that big ultimate, so they were able to freely walk into Unlimited Potential's blue side, pick up that buff.
And again, Rumble not present for that Dragon fight means that UP effectively forced a 4v5. And I guess the ulti was maybe for disengage there, but M3 still get 2 kills and the Dragon out of that trade. And we look at Dade now in the mid lane, starting to get quite a bit stronger, 120 to 93 CS as well. But I love what Dade does with his Cassiopeia ability. Always does this. Rylai's after tier.
I really like Rylai's. So we talked about how Cassiopeia is more of a sustain mage. Wow, stuttering there. Sustain mage versus a burst mage. So obviously the longer... This is going to sound really basic. The longer she's alive, the more time she can rotate through her cooldowns, the more damage that she's going to output. And that sounds super basic, but it means so much more for Cassiopeia because of her cooldowns and the fact that she gets the reset on her Twin Fang versus someone like Annie who's just going to go in and drop a single rotation of her cooldowns and then pretty much be done.
Yep, and I mean, even just to extend it, you get the single target slow off Twin Fang as well. Like Rylai's gives Cassiopeia personally as well. It's just so much goodness
Gap
out of the
close
item.
as well because you have the control and the slow as well as her speed up from her poison.
Which you definitely need because you're real slow and you don't have any flash or maybe a Sivir ultimate to help you. And Dade, he's finished his Rylai's. He's ahead of Punished in this lane. We talked about Varus being able to keep control of this lane and being very strong, but Dade is in complete control now. Even though he's going to eat a Q or 2. As I say that, of course. Sorry, Dade. Singing all of your praise and all of a sudden things go wrong, but he'll be fine here. Punished again. Going to keep farming where he can, but even the health that Dade has and the fact that he'll get health back off Twin Fang as well, he's going to be perfectly fine in that 1v1 matchup.
And it's not as terrifying for Punish, the fact that he can just sit back by his tower and use his Q. Again, Varus, because it is such a short lane, he's not in any immediate danger even without his flash.
I guess the other nice thing is that kind of like Jace was, if you think back to the World Championships last year.
Pretty much what he is.
Yeah, he's just Jace. He gets the very same item build, similar power spike, really peaks at the mid game and then drops off pretty dramatically from there. He does one thing and he does it well. Lots of long range pokers. Sketch gonna pop the ulti in the bottom side. Harkonnen diving with the depth charge. Amy's here as well. Finds the ulti, doesn't get anyone as they flash up, but Long, wonderful equalizer is gonna lock them up. Love City gonna be the first to die. Heart's gonna chase it onto SMLZ. Under the tower, he is maybe just enough to safety and a lot of resources used, but only 1 kill for UP.
Condi's on the side, doesn't look like he's going to be able to engage that. And effectively, that was Unlimited Potential, just knowing that they had the TP advantage, knowing that they had a numbers advantage then on the opposite side of the map. Fantastic equalizer from Long, which pretty much saved a disaster of a ultimate from Amy.
Yeah, I mean, went in there, not quite in range, and some good flashes and dashes kept M3 safe. Looper, though, did get the turret in the mid side. Dade's been pressuring his turret. You can see it's about 20% health left. Even Punish just can't keep up with now a level 11 blue buff Cassiopeia. And Condi looking for a dive means that Punish has to concede his tower.
I love the pincher here from both sides.
I mean, he should concede his tower. I don't think he wants to try and fight. Even Lupus here as well, ready for Mega now. Actually just transformed. They're going to dive in. They'll get the tower. Love City finds Heart with a hook. Looper nars onto Punish, wallops him as well after the cleanser's use. Heart will fall though, and M3 collapsed wonderfully.
And really, it was kind of the paranoia that Dade still had the petrifying gaze that Long couldn't step, or excuse me, not Long, Punish couldn't step too far forward. You saw him in the back lane, a little bit hesitant. He goes for it. No, I have to make sure that I'm clear of that. Wasn't able to output the damage to possibly trade 1-for-1.
Yeah, and you saw the cleanse for Punish to use it to get out of the Gnar, but Wallop was lined up just against the wall, and he got locked up enough to get them the tower. Dragon back in a minute 50 now as well. So 5-3 up for M3, almost 4,000 gold ahead, and it's been a fairly slow start to the game, but M3 have a strong lead here at 17 minutes.
Dade also setting up for a...
Yep, going in back with Condi. Poison will miss. Sketch is here as well, and Dade maybe a little too ambitious on that kill.
Especially, oh no, he just has his flash back up.
He was ready. I mean, you land 1 Q on Cassiopeia.
And you're just able to run him down,
yeah. They're dead. They're absolutely dead, especially once the Rylai slow Twin Fang comes in. But Looper has to get minions off his turret. Amy's up here as well, perhaps looking for a dive. Nautilus here as well, actually. Tower goes down on the bottom side, M3. A little sloppy from UP, kind of losing objectives across the map here.
Losing a lot of their pressure right now because they're trying to decide what to do. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit of a difficult situation to tower dive a Gnar who is stacking up his rage bar so quickly.
Yeah, actually has decent itemization now as well. Spectre's Cow complete, Giant Spot done as well. A lot of MR here for Looper and a decent amount of health. They're going to wait till he gets tired and goes back into mini now. They'll pull the trigger now. Looper gets ulted by the depth charge, hops away from it. Long though, finds the Electro Harpoon. Good juke from Looper. Oh, that's bad news. Hard finds himself into the wall. Going to take too many turret hits. And Looper 1v3 denies the dive.
The trickiness of ganking a Gnar, the fact that he has the hop, and again, we talked about how Looper had built up quite a sizable rage bar right there. They didn't want to try to dive the Mega Gnar. Waited for it, didn't connect with the dredge line, have to walk away.
And again, Looper having a much better game here. Very consistent, very safe. 35 CS lead here, but just, you know, keeping it calm. Although porting into the bottom side means Punish might be in trouble. Smite there for Condi will slow him down. Unborrow means that Varus can't really go anywhere as Looper. Where did he go?
He teleported.
Oh, there he is. There's Looper. Finds on to Punish, and that'll be a kill for him.
I don't quite think that Looper needed to teleport for that, but obviously he gets something for his trouble.
Well, Punish didn't flash either, so maybe, but Looper wanted a kill. Let's just put it that way. As long, going to keep pushing in the top side. No teleports now for either top laner, but Dragon is back up, which means M3 are going to look to take their second.
And that's what's really important, the fact that Looper burned his teleport to the bottom side of the map while Dragon is up. He doesn't want to go to the top side and play with the TP discrepancy and possibly lose that later on down the road. So they should turn to this, especially because Dade also has the blue buff on Cassiopeia, can burn through objectives very quickly.
Yeah, and after the pick, Punished is dead. He's going to come back up just now. Long will get the tower, but Looper's actually back into the top side, maybe trying to get some work done. Long, though, goes a long way around to keep himself safe, but M3 do claim the second dragon. Seraph, yes, I know the unintentional long pun. I didn't mean it. Dade now with his Seraphs as well. Zeal also completed for SMLZ, so we're going to look for that static shift coming up fairly soon. Love City trying to land a hook up onto Hard here, but has to be careful. Amy needs someone. The box comes through. Love City gets ulted as a Glacial Prison comes out. Sketch dives in. That's a kill. Dade gets exhausted and misses his ulti, and they'll keep going in. Dade hooked up, snared for days there as UP pick up a second kill, and that team fight starting to mount itself. UP 2 clean kills.
And that's more of the Amy that we expect. The C hero, kill hero, finds the pick, lands the Glacial Prism just on Thresh, but may turn into something more for Unlimited as they approach this tower.
Can see Looper as well. Got his AoE wave clear out with the Mega Gnar, so we'll clear out the minions relatively quickly. The rest of M3 will come in. Good three-man slow from the boulder toss, but M3 just here to try and keep the wave off the turret.
They do not have the GAT available to them, though, so I think they're going to have to give it up without that Lucian ultimate. There's no clear way to clear off that creep wave, which is why I'm actually really excited that SMLZ is deciding to go for the static shiv build, especially because he's facing against Sivir. It's going to offer a lot more wave clear for Masters.
Yeah, I mean, just something that you look down and you're right. There's just not that much apart from Cassiopeia setting up and sitting in a lane, sort of like Azir, just continuing to push the creeps back. Or SMLZ using his ultimate, so I agree. I actually like having a bit of secondary wave clear. Looper as well. Randy one's completed now, and Giant Spell even up for Condi means that people are getting tankier and the damage items are starting to come through. But we saw the gold lead before, about 4 or 5k ahead for M3, now only 2,000 up.
They lost a lot of their pressure, kind of in their wandering around the lanes. Looper's teleport in particular, the fact that they took the dragon and then he rotated back to the top lane as opposed to maybe taking the dragon, consolidating their pressure points mid and trying to get something more there.
I mean, UP, again, starting to get stronger. Varus will peak relatively soon. Skatch almost has 2 items completed. It feels like M3 are the team that are being proactive, but what do you think UP can do here, sort of in this mid-game lull, to get themselves kind of back into equal and then into the lead?
Well, they have their big itemization power spikes kind of across every single member. You just kind of listed it all off. So effectively, they need to press R. That's what their composition's all about. We talked about how the Equalizer and the On the Hunt can synergize and that you have long range initiation potential, that if you land the Equalizer, you just press On the Hunt, and it's almost like a garbage disposal. If the Equalizer's behind them, then you just run into them.
Yep. Trash compactor, just press them in.
Exactly.
But M3 clearing out vision, that's probably UP's other big problem. SML's even split pushing in the bottom lane, very Wei Zhao-esque. I know that we mentioned that once upon a time this was the protege, so I like that he's sitting in the lanes, getting some empty farm, making sure Sketch can't be in the lanes and really pressure towers as Sivir want to do, and M3 continuing their aggression.
And that's the big thing, the fact that they're spreading unlimited potential very thin by creating multiple pressure points on the map. It keeps the On the Hunt away from the team, and that's the big hard engage ability other than the Equalizer. I mean, yeah, it's the Glacial Prism, but Amy's been kind of hit and whiff with those.
It's actually really clever from M3 because you look down on the side of unlimited potential, the only one that can really match split push is actually the Sivir, maybe Long if he starts to get something like an Abyssal or really get his items going, but the best person to try and match that split push is Sketch, so you're right, just start split pushing and separate him from the rest of the team.
Long now going to use the fact that he has the teleport available and take care of that pressure point in the bottom lane. It's going to be what are Master3 going to do with this window of opportunity that they have. Yeah, Rumble can teleport and get involved with the team fight, but if they're able to find a pick here by forcing Unlimited Potential to rotate into somewhere that they have vision or somewhere that they're setting up, which happens to be that red side jungle, could be too little too late.
We started seeing this a lot from M3 actually, very early, almost EDG-esque. Baron time is coming through. As soon as they get a pick, someone's making the call, and they're going straight to that Baron around the 25-28 minute mark. So I think that's the reason why all that vision's consolidated back over. Dragon's not up right now, so you don't really have to get your vision around there. So they've been trying for a pick for the last few minutes, it seems like.
No, you're absolutely right. Anytime Dragon goes down, that's obviously the big objective that's on the bottom side of the map. And so when it's not there, you have a 6-minute window where you can play to the opposite side. And the Baron threat is always going to be very early and very present from Masters3 because, again, they do have a Cassiopeia, especially when she has that blue buff, because she's able to reset her Twin Fangs on a motionless target. Just means that she can power down those big monsters.
Yes, Baron, unfortunately, not very good at dodging the poison. His Scuttle Crab will get cleared out on the Baron side by Unlimited Potential, actually. So going to get a bit more vision around there. Dade level 13, trying to make something happen, but on the hunt's pop. Depth Charge in there as well. Dade's forced to flush away, but he knocks up SMLZ. Hook lands onto Dade, Petrifying Gaze to try and peel them off. As Looper dives in there as well. Dade lasted for so long, and Amy getting chunked out as Long's almost dead as well. Goes into zonies, but didn't pop his Flame Spitter, and that's a lot of damage poking through. Love City, though, takes out the Rumble, flashes forward. Condi's coming through, gets the knock up onto Amy, but Punish now turns around for the damage. A double kill for Varus, and SMLZ and Looper trying to run. Q will miss as Looper jukes it. Flash forward there for Varus to try and slow them down, and a lot of summoners burnt. No one else is dead. Looper dodging skill shots like it's his day job. And a big trade there for UP, but just somehow only 3 for 2.
Dade did everything in his power right there. Survived for so long, landed an amazing ultimate, but unfortunately, kind of a questionable Lantern. I think it looked so good for Masters3 because SMLZ was just untouched in the backline, kind of ripping through Unlimited Potential's front line. But then, Love CD flashes forward, pulls Condi into a Lantern. It's a 2v3 instantly. They're deleted off the map. So not quite sure. A little bit trigger happy.
Maybe. I mean, they had to respond to, again, another press R and all-in comp there from UP, and they did well to get their team comp in place. Amy actually did something really smart. After the initial engage, he actually peeled himself over the ridge, and all of a sudden, SMLZ was kiting off those tanks like, oh, I'm not doing damage to anyone now. Which is sad times. Pro tip, kids, definitely do damage as an AD carry. As Hart going to try and get some more vision down here. Dragon is back up now as well, and you can see both teams starting to converge on the objective.
I can't get over that Lantern. Love City was like, forever. Take the Lantern. And Condi's like, I've made a terrible mistake. You just saw his facial expression mid-Lantern pull. He was like, oh, God, I don't want to be here.
Scuttle Crab does actually go to UP. Sketch, I believe, stole it with a Boomerang Blade. So suddenly Long is very threatening with this high damage Rumble.
And it's very terrifying because the Scuttle Crab obviously is not only going to grab vision, but the movement speed. And against a press R composition with Sivir, that is...
Yep. If they needed more movement speed somehow with Sivir's ultimates currently being available, they get a little bit more.
And the patience for Unlimited Potential right here. This isn't something that they're actually really known for, and as I say that, they actually pulled the Dragon. Yep. There's no reason to pull this Dragon, guys. You have a massive wave into the top lane. Just be patient. Masters3 will have to overcommit on something.
Bottom wave's pushing as well, and Condi actually sort of re-engages the Dragon as UP, after the Dragon leashes himself back, will get on top of it. Condi might fancy himself a steal, but Hart zoning well. The Dragon does go to Varus, and Amy on the hunt is popped. M3 are trying to trade. They'll get the turret in the mid side, and luckily for them, the rest of them will survive.
Best case scenario for Masters3, great decision making right there to say we can't contest the Dragon. Our waves are pushing against us, but we can't just run this straight up mid lane and trade tower for a Dragon.
Yeah, you can see running around. Love City either gets hooked up by Hart. Depth Shot lands onto 3 after it pops SMLZ. Glacial Prison gets the carries as well. Condi fighting in the backside as SMLZ gets his fadeaway culling, but Dade caught out of position, goes down. Condi fighting, takes out Nautilus and almost gets himself another kill, but a 2-for-1 win already for Unlimited Potential.
Masters3 kind of split their damage sets right there. You had Dade fighting in the mid lane, and then you had SMLZ with his full Gatling duration over onto the side, and unfortunately pushed out very early in that fight. And the issue is that Masters3 aren't able to get their damage on the same point, protect it, and have a front line securely in front of them.
It's part of the problem right here for the comp is that you look at the threats onto M3, SMLZ and Dade, very short range for the Lucian, so has to weave in and out of a fight. And Cassiopeia does great damage, but is very immobile, so all of these ultimates are really good at doing just this.
And so this is what we're going to talk about. So Dade right now locked up by the Glacial Prism. He's somehow going to end up, there he goes, into the mid lane, so he's pretty much fighting a 2v3 at this point. Now it becomes a 2v4, and SMLZ over to the side, not able to do any damage during the duration that Dade is face-tanking the entire team.
I mean, they really don't want to split up. They kind of want Dade and SMLZ to sit together, and then when they run in, use the ultimate to peel.
A front-to-back composition. They need to have their tank line in front of them because they do have a very low mobility Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and I mean, Dade, you saw it when he's standing in the right spot. He does great damage. Otherwise, just kind of going to die to plenty of damage that UP have. And Backup especially does a lot of damage right now. Punish, he's basically done as far as items go. He doesn't need anything else.
But this is also what's so great about the Varus into the Cassiopeia matchup is that he can put out his massive burst spell, again, that piercing arrow, completely outside of range of the threat of the petrifying gaze.
I mean, threat of anything, really. Again, we talk about the lane matchup. Dade gets ahead when he's able to lane Q. Scatcho actually going to pop it. Dade trying to zone them away. A little bit trigger happy there for UP. Long actually, yeah, hanging out with the Scuttle Crab looking to the bottom side, so maybe a misfire there on that Sivir ulti.
Yeah. That was a little interesting. A little bit of a miscommunication. It was cute, too, because Dade was like, come on, please.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't want to run headfirst into a Sivir unless you're really confident you can kill her, so interesting decision-making here. UP trying to keep themselves back into the lead. They're actually pretty much equalized the goal, but M3 are actually going to start a very aggressive Baron. Long does not have his teleport yet.
This is a 50-50 Baron, and Condi is level 12 to Sejuani's level 13, so Amy has the stronger smite.
He's going to go in there, dives through. Rek'Sai, though, takes the Baron. SMLZ hits the Glacial Prison, though. He's going to die by the looks of things. Goes down to Sejuani.
Oh!
He will fall, but Dade going off Looper. Massive Nara ultimate, and they will clean house. Maybe Looper, little too low, going to get chased out by Punish and Scatch. Amy zoning out Dade there as well as Looper will die to a Varus auto. Dade still getting chased, but he's got no mana left. Scatch with the Boomerang Blade just misses, but they'll keep chasing in. The Permafrost gets the slow. Dade can't do anything else as Amy flash orders in for the kill.
Oh, but Condi, hold on.
He's going to come back through. No, he's found Punish. That's not what he wants. Immediately forced to leave the area, and M3 get the Baron, but UP win the team fight.
Oh, wait.
Actually going back in. Condi, Cinderhawk only going to go on top of Punish, but Varus can't do much by himself. Amy's going to try and help him out, but that might have been a mistake from Sejuani. Poke from Varus is good. Amy forced to go over a wall with the Arctic Assault, and Condi trying to at least buy some time.
Still got his pretty secret. How thirsty is he?
Pretty thirsty by the looks of things. Oh, ulti lands in. Amy comes through. Scatch will land in for the damage. On the hunt being popped, and Condi a little too greedy. Amy follows in with the Arctic Assault after the tunnel. Condi with a lantern doesn't take it as a network set up, and that was so aggressive by Rek'Sai.
45 seconds later, it finally all ends. Condi manages to keep his Baron, the only one that Master3 made away from in that fight. Wow. So big issue, of course, was the fact that Dade didn't have any mana for the duration of the fight because he didn't have a blue buff when he went in to do that Baron. So all of the damage and all of Cassiopeia's big damage output had been already expended on the Baron, so it wasn't able to translate into the team fight. Can we talk about how Condi got the smite off, however?
Yeah.
With Amy having the stronger smite.
I mean, look.
He deserves that Baron buff.
He did deserve that Baron buff, and apparently chased away 3 members of Unlimited Potential and didn't die. Again, buys a little bit more time. SMLZ going to clear the... There we go, clear the red buff. Nailed it. Good. Okay. He's got it. Dragging up in a minute 25, and we'll see what teams want to do.
But we can talk about what that effectively means for either of these teams, because obviously with only one Baron, they can attempt to use it to siege.
I mean, Condi can, if he wants, get caught by Heart as Riptide will come through. Lantern is there, but Condi getting zoned away. Long trying to stand on top of it, but the Lantern is found, and Condi gets to safety.
He changed his mind right there. He was trying to use Rumble's childbearing hips to block the Lantern.
Hey, man, that robot's not fat. He's got big pieces of armor. As Looper in the top lane actually split pushing with his teleport up as well. So again, Dade's maybe had a bit of a hit or miss game. 4, 4, and 5. Decent, but certainly been struggling with all of the big team fight ultimates from UP. But Looper having a very consistent game in the top side is actually going to get the turret for himself.
And this is something that Looper has actually really shown on his Gnar games. It used to be last split that the only champions that he could really show up and be consistent on in the top lane were Gnar and Lissandra when she was a big pick for the meta.
Yeah, I mean, Looper's Gnar certainly impressed me more than his hack room recently at least, so I'm glad that he's got the champion. He's playing very well. He's got a Thornmail now as well to really run down the threats of Varus and Sivir that UP have, and he's already got the early magic resist from his lane, including some Merc Treads, so as far as big frontlines go, Looper's pretty much set for this next Dragon fight.
As he waddles his way over there.
Yep, does have his teleport, but would rather walk down instead. M3 going to clear out a little bit more vision, but third dragon possibly for M3. UP going to look to stop that and even them up at 2 apiece. I think we're going to have quite the fight here as UP turn his own away and get some poke down.
But again, dragon fights are so punishing for Unlimited Potential's composition, not only because of the Sever, but obviously this is exactly where Rumble wants to be fighting long, looking for that equalizer.
M3 are going to force the issue here. Looper needs a bit more rage by the looks of things. Dragon pulled out again. The damage is good from both sides, and Amy might come back in. Does get the smite this time, so that's even, but gonna try and force the issue. Ulti lands onto Love CD from Varus. He just gets chunked out as Hard takes the kill. Amy finds Dade and Condi as they just descend upon him. SMLZ trying to go in as Looper with an absolutely massive ultimate. Might have turned it around. SMLZ still fighting, forced to flash back. Long takes him out though. Amy's gonna go down by the looks of things as Looper and Condi team up. Long gonna get chased out there as Looper's got a little bit more Mega Gnar left. Slow lands again there. Condi's going to chase Looper now. Mini Gnar form. The Umbaro lands the flames, but as there, Zonia's lands out. Looper's like, oh no, I have to run away, but Long, it's not enough there. Boomerang lands in. Condi's going to get the next kill. Hard will Spider Knot his way to safety, but another close team fight, 4 for 3.
It's like Master3 steal talent from one another. If Looper's having the game of his life, then SMLZ or Dade are going to completely drop the ball. If Dade has an amazing team fight, I mean, that team fight right there. Looper gets an incredible Gnar ultimate. He's doing so much damage. SMLZ walks into melee range of Rumble and just gets shredded alive. And can we talk about the Baron, or not the Baron, the Dragon? The fact that Condi, he was originally on the back of the pit looking for the steal to tunnel over. Miscommunication again. When the Dragon actually goes down, he's walking around getting to the backside of his team. So not quite sure why no one's on the same page for Masters3.
I mean, again, it's sort of been the story of a lot of their losses at least. In this game, awfully close at this stage of the game. 34 minutes almost have elapsed. A gold lead still there for M3, but it's only 3k up at this stage. And with Dragons being neutralized, Baron, of course, not up just yet. A minute 50 on that one. We'll see if they want to fight over that as well. And if we've seen anything from this game, I'm going to take a wild guess and say yes. 5-4 up in turrets, a fairly even game as everyone's starting to get items, but let's see this fight again.
Again, so the Dragon just went down. Condi finally gets into the fight. Not sure what happened with Love CD, just immediately obliterated SMLZ, now into the middle of the team fight. Yep, there he goes, walks into melee range.
Didn't have a dash, I guess, but didn't walk
He dashed forward aggressively to pick someone up by using the double tap, but all you need to do was kite back.
Maybe. I mean, it's sort of weird that UP do have an extra carry in some ways with Long as well, as we see an extended chase gives Looper and Condi the kill. Though Looper kind of realized he almost made a mistake there. Gets the kill in the end for Condi. That was Praise Seeker lands for the last one. We pop back into the game and UP is sieging down the bottom side. And this is annoying. Punished. Long range there in his Varus. Good poke here as well. No blue buff. Dade actually has his, so gonna wave clear decently well. Looper in the top side, split pushing, does have his teleport. And a decent situation for UP, but Love CD gonna find Scatch. Slowly comes through. Condi takes him out as SMLZ actually gonna get the kill with the culling, but Equalizer lands in there Long with a great Zonies to keep himself safe, but no, it's too much damage. Condi takes him out, and UP, it looks so good to start things off with, but M3 just on the better page, and Looper with the red buff of all buffs, gonna chase everybody down. House just missing there as the boulder toss. Won't quite land in, but Punish will get trapped in by Condi. Dade just keeps himself alive with the Zonias, and this time M3 win 3-1.
And really, it was a misplay from Scatch. He stepped forward, so miscommunication. Hart says, I'm going to tank the tower, come push forward. Hart leaves tower aggro. Scatch steps forward, immediately eats a flash flay from Condi and just gets obliterated.
Yeah, just got owned there by the Thresh as Looper continuing to go through as Dade. Looking pretty happy with himself at this stage of the game. 4, 5, and 6 on his cast here, but a nice healthy 287 CS. So again, having a decent game as Dade, but for me, I kind of called out Looper at the start of the broadcast, but he's doing excellently in this first game.
Looper is the hinge in which Masters3 are finding their success.
Yeah, and he's done so well here as you can see Mini Gnar going to start shredding through the Baron. SMLZ and Condi teaming up as Dade going to join in. Has his blue buff, most importantly. Love City. It's actually caught Amy. Amy dives into the pit. He wants the kill. He gets ulted though, and that's a lot of damage coming through, but Long, he doesn't have his equalizer, and that's going to be a free Baron.
Amy pulling the trigger a little bit too quickly right there, was trying to get the smite steal, didn't have the Glacial Prism available, so we do see it pop right now, but he didn't have it as soon as he jumped into that pit, which would have been beautiful. So tries his best, unfortunately just a little bit too soon.
Yeah, no vision either, so had to take an educated guess, and full G for Amy. Guesses wrong in that situation, and M3 going to charge down the mid lane with the Baron buff. This inhibitor turret is not long for this world. Well, maybe not actually. Decent wave clear as the Baron cannon. Nope, never mind. Punish takes it away with Varus. I mean, that is the one thing UP do have. They have excellent wave clear.
Just the oppressive range from the piercing arrow. Again, we talked about how he's very similar to Nidalee or Jace. Probably Jace, because Jace is going to be doing AoE splash damage with this Shock Blast.
I mean, unless you have a really pumped up Luden Zeko as Nidalee. Not quite the same, but yeah, just really good with AoE wave clear. Great poke from a long distance. You can see punished again. All the rest of these items are just luxury items at this stage. I wouldn't be super surprised to even see maybe a QSS come through as one of his last items. It looks like more of Malmortius is actually his next choice after Ghostblade, Last Whisper, and Muramana. So curious stuff here coming through. Actually, more done for Lupa now as well, but M3 are getting tankier. The damage starting to mount up. Dade might not have had the best game, but he's only going to keep getting stronger from this point.
And this is the thing about Cassiopeia. So she's strong in the lane phase. She can be a lane bully, although Varus has kind of come out to be kind of a soft counter to her. But she has hyper-scaling late game potential, a little bit of a weak mid-game power trough because she's waiting for her items to stack up. So now it's a point, how many stacks is he going to get on his passive now that all of the items are completed? This is a terrifying Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and you can see the gold lead actually in the mid side for Dade, almost 2,000 gold ahead. Lupa in a pretty similar vein there as well. And just across the board, M3 have a good lead in most of their lanes. That Baron really snowballed the gold lead back up in their favor, about 6,000 or 7,000 gold ahead already. Dragon back up in 20 seconds, so it means that M3, I don't think they even want the Dragon. They're just looking for a way to force UP to come and fight them. Oh, actually, ulti pop there. Condi fairly tanky, though. Going to get locked up. Gets lanterned out to safety. Hook, though, lands onto SMLZ, and he QSS is out, dashes away. Might actually be safe there, but Long with the equalizer. Glacial Prison actually missed, but Punish manages to take the kill.
So many key ultimates used, and here comes the counter flank.
Maybe too many. Dade coming in. Finds on the heart. Punish, though, gets hooked as Condi unborrows him. Now Dade coming through. Gets his zombies down. They have to keep fighting here. Lupa needs to get a little bit bigger. Dade still fighting. It lasted quite a while. Lupa finally transforms, gets a 3-man into the wall. Long pops his Zhonya's. Condi's going to melt down, and Lupa trying to fight now. 1v2. Can he take out Hard? He's a little too tanky on the Nautilus, but does get the kill. And Long, he's going to die as well. Lupa, one man standing, gets the ace by himself.
Condi's like, I'm here, I'm helping. Okay, let's talk about this. So the fact of the matter is so many key ultimates, the Equalizer and the Glacial Prism and the On the Hunt were all burned to try to kill one member, SMLZ, when he's cut out of position. Immediately the call from Master3 is, they don't have anything, let's fight them. Didn't go as smoothly as possible, but Looper coming up huge right there. They take the team fight and they may take 2 towers.
I mean, Dade at this point is almost a distraction, it feels like, in these team fights. He is taking so long to die on this Cassiopeia, despite getting in melee range a couple times, and M3 get rewarded not just with an ace, but with a bottom lane inhibitor turret as well.
I'm going to see the replay here.
Yeah, so Condi going to flash in. That hook really just punished there. And Dade, you can see he's just living for so long here.
I know, and he's really just standing in the middle of everyone. Unfortunately, his team just didn't have the peel necessary to kind of push everyone back and reset the fight.
The Looper goes mega, and this is just great to watch. You can see how tanky he is. Even Long, with all of his rumble damage, can't do anything against this mega now.
And that goes back to all the fact that the resistances that Looper has, the fact that he's that far along into his itemization, and that Long really prioritized damage before his resistances, the fact that he's sitting on the Hourglass, the Leandries, and the Void Staff. So this is a very threatening rumble to the backline carries of Master3, which he's had a lot of success getting on top of them, especially when people, Relentless Pursuit inside of him.
Yeah, SMLZ fancying himself more of a melee carry. This game is punished. Just like arrow there, no ultimate, looks a little similar, but Dade with the Void Stuff now, gotten stronger. Sonya's, of course, that we saw in the last fight, instrumental in him keeping a little bit further alive and buying his Looper, especially time to go Mega now. But we've got a G8 now done for Looper. He's actually fully done as far as defensive items go, and he is, apart from that, more completely tank-based in this game.
And he's still doing ridiculous amounts of damage, as we saw from the last fight. So what's curious here is how Master... hold on, though.
Yeah, gonna look for something here. UP again trying to set up for a siege, but Looper split pushing down in the bottom. Does have a teleport here. Love City a little too far forward. Has to be a bit careful. Pops the box, though. Amy and Hart a little too far forward. Looper will pop back in.
Wow.
Amazing ulti, though, coming through. Equalizer laid down as well, but Dade still alive. They're gonna come through. His SMLZ just gonna shred as many people as he can. Dade's dead, though, and Looper and Condi against the world once more. Hart gonna go down. Looper's about to go mega. You can know he fancies himself diving in. He needs somebody. Gets 2 with the ulti. Takes out Punish. Gets a triple kill. Might get a penta on Nara's Sketch. Trying to kite away, but Condi going to clean up the next kill. Looper going to come back round for Long. His GA is still there. He's got the slow. Actually hits the wall there with his bit of house, but Long going to get taken out here. Mininar going to keep his GA as well. Very well played by the jungler in top lane.
Looper is unkillable. That's hilarious. Okay, so a fantastic Glacial Prism from Amy. Locked up, I think, all 4 members because Looper was on the side get split pushing, burns his teleport to get involved on the back half as Condi Rek'Sai ults across to take the free and open inhibitor, which brilliant play right there.
Yeah, really nice stuff. 12 seconds left on Amy and Hart, so no one going to be up here in time. Condi, it'll take him a little while without the Warrior and Jam, but he should get it eventually.
That was, wow, a Glacial Prism. Everything went right for Unlimited Potential. They had a 4v5, they had a massive CC chain, but just couldn't deal with Looper and Condi when they got there. Didn't have the damage to shred through them.
That's the story of the last two team fights as well. Condi needs his tunnel. Getting denied, though, finally finds his way out and will just go back through the network.
And this is kind of a big issue with, I mean, long built damage. They technically have a triple threat composition because you have the Rumble who itemized into full magic penetration, and then you have the Varus as well as the Sivir. So your big core damage, your 80 carries, you have double 80 carry composition. So obviously the armor on Looper is going to be doing that much more. But unfortunately, Long just can't make it happen for the team fights.
And the other issue is that when Looper's not there, UP, when they go, it's very all-in with their composition. Depth charge, Amy's ultimate, Arctic Assault in,
Don't
Scatch's
save
ultimate.
any of the CC for the big...
Exactly, and Looper just teleported in the backline and said, okay, you don't have any ultimates, I guess we can do this again.
It's so weird to call Looper the big carry threat because he has 0 damage items. He's got the Maw.
I mean, you kind of said it already, right, with Cassiopeia. The longer you stay alive, the more damage you do. Looper's kind of the same thing. He just stays alive for a lot longer and does less damage, but if he doesn't die, you're going to die before he does.
The rotations of the boomerang, but there is the on the hunt.
Yes, Scatch wants to go in again. Dade trying to make it happen. Hart, though, missing that hook as Dade flashes nicely. Looper going into Mega. Got chunked up pretty hard, though. But they are going to keep moving through. Carling just to zone them away. Dade eats a bit of poke there, so might have to back off as well. And Condi, lots of health there, but M3 finally getting poked off. That's the sort of fight that UP can win.
But that's 3 major ultimates, again, burned on the side of Unlimited Potential, and you still have the big Petrifying Gaze as well as Looper's Meganar available.
He's tired now, unfortunately, so will not be Meganar for a little while longer. Actually running back after taking a decent amount of damage, and UP, little hesitant to start the Baron, will get spotted by the Scrying Orb, but they're going in for it. Condi, level 18, is actually 2 levels up on Amy, so might be going in for the Smite Steal Punish. Gonna try and run it out. Love City pops his locket as Looper diving into the backline, trying to be disruptive. Long gets picked up by a hook. Condi gonna peel him off, and Looper 1v3 in the backlines. GA finally popped. Long flashes in there as well, but Unlimited Potential took way too long to try and kill Looper. Punish gets unborrowed there by Condi, and M3 will just keep running through. Looper's Mega now. Wallop goes in, but Scatch with a nice spell shield keeps himself safe. But a 3-0 team fight win for Masters3.
Fantastic decision making from Master3. So the big thing about this is that there was a massive minion wave. We see this on the Nexus towers for Unlimited Potential. So Master3 knew that UP had to make a decision. Either they're going back to their Nexus tower to defend against the wave, or they're committing to the Baron. What does Condi do? He goes in so early, but this Rek'Sai is huge. He's so tanky, and because he's 2 levels over Amy, they need to kill him before attempting to smite the Baron.
Scatch has lost a little too much. Their tower's going to fall. Amy's back as well, but M3 is going to brute force themselves on top of the Nexus. Scatch is dead as Looper gets himself an 11th kill of the game. Amy's going to make it 1 more for Dade, and M3 on the back of Looper's Meganar win the first game.
We said it before the game, consistency is going to be the issue for Masters3, and Looper in particular was a big proponent for kind of being hot one game and off the next game. Comes up big, back-to-back actually, from his Rumble from the other night and now into this Gnar.
And actually in this game, can carry it through to the end there for M3. And look, Dade, we talk again about consistency a lot for M3. Dade didn't have a great game, but he didn't have a Dade game. He actually had, a decent game. He did enough work.
There's great, and then there's Dade.
I mean, whenever he buys the Majais, we always love to play the game show Do or Dade. So there is great